So I had an interesting last couple of days.
Mm.
I spent 2 days having very lengthy, long conversation with Chinese businessmen. Talked about Russia. We talked about global economy. We talked about currency. We talked about manufacturing moving throughout the world. We talked about the shift in world power. We talked about the trans movement within the United States. We talked about crime and lack of crime in China versus the immense amount of crime in the United States. We touched almost everything.
Well, I want to touch on each of those topics.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the pod. We got Matt and Peter. Good morning.
What's up? What's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.
Hope everyone is having a fantastic day.
Absolutely.
Memorial Day weekend.
Oh yeah. Hope everybody had lots of hamburgers and hot dogs, and for some people like Kamala Harris, enjoy the extended weekend. People got so upset over that tweet.
What was the tweet? I don't know.
That was it. That was it. Enjoy your extended weekend. And the pundits were like, "Oh, she thinks Memorial Day is just an extended weekend. It's not something like respecting and honoring our troops type of thing." With that, see, the fact that you didn't even pick up on that shows that you wouldn't be offended by that tweet.
I do not follow Kamala Harris.
I don't follow her either.
I did start
but
following.
The pundits always like poking fun at her because she's retarded.
I did start following AOC's parody account.
Oh shit, we have to talk about that.
How funny is that account?
Like,
And she got so mad at it.
okay, so for those who don't know, AOC, what's her full name?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes, she has a Twitter account like all politicians do, and there's a parody account that is it's a parody account. But what makes it so funny is that you almost can't tell between the parody account and the real account.
And every once in a while, they will retweet or they will do AOC's exact tweet.
Yes.
So it's really confusing.
It's super confusing. And from what I understand, the official AOC account blocked the parody account, and the parody account is now kind of taking on like being the real account.
It's so funny.
I love it. But see, the juju is in the misinterpretation. The fact that parody is reflecting real life means that they're so close in proximity that you can't tell the clown fiesta from anything else anymore.
And I think she put out a tweet to everyone saying, there is a account impersonating me, but the account literally says parody.
Nobody reads.
Like, it's in the name, parody.
Yep. Which, according to Elon's
rules.
Twitter's rules, is that as long as you have parody in your namesake, then they won't block you. They won't delete your account.
Correct. I thought that one was
So,
hilarious.
guys, this is the craziness of our world now, is that the parody is now mainstream. The parody is now reality. We live in a world of opposite day. We live in a world where any man can now become a woman, and by the way, any man can now win gold medals.
Whoa, are we going to talk
athletic
about the
sports.
celebration of this month?
Well, maybe we should.
That is Happy LGBTQ plus PEI plus month.
No, it's 2SLA or some shit like that. 2SL. Didn't you see the new additions?
Oh, there's an update?
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't download the update.
2SL. It's 2SL LGBTQI plus.
Wait, what happened to TIA plus?
TIA plus. I missed that one.
Wait, oh, fuck.
2SL is two.
Legit to quit?
I think it Justin Trudeau like repeated it multiple times.
2SL LGBTQ
I think it's like
plus.
two side. What's the SL?
Oh, LGBTQIP 2SAA plus? What is it?
Yes, it's 2S2.
There's no way anyone can remember this.
It's two spirited. Two spirited.
LGBTQIP2SA. That's like a fantastic password, by the way. If that was your password, no one's ever hacking that.
Should camel case that shit. It'll be even better, man.
Even if you wrote your password down and someone were to hack it and find it, they'd be like, they still get it wrong.
So is this so? Like, here's the
well,
thing.
it's this month.
Well, I saw a meme the other day, and it made a lot of sense. It was a picture of a person getting drowned and dragged under the water by a stone, and the person that being drowned and dragged underwater, the stone was LGB. and the stone is QIA plus 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 plus. And essentially the meme is that all of these spaghetti, all of these like, you know, noodle soup lettering that we have there is dragging down everyone else. And they've overcome or taken over the entire gay community in not a positive light, but a negative light. So I just, it's fantastic to me that it used to be LGB. That was it.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, it was LGB.
Yeah.
Now there's LGBT.
QSTIPA.
T, and then they just started adding letters. So I would say our current rate of going, we're a decade in, and we got 10 letters there now.
20?
Maybe 20 by the next decade, yeah? 20 letters, guys. And if you don't memorize it appropriately, you're a bigot.
Well,
you're a terrible person.
The most fucked up thing about all of this is that this weekend was Memorial Day.
Yes.
We have one day for veterans to remember veterans who fought in our wars and died for the country. They get one fucking day.
One day. That's all you get, bro.
But this gets an entire month.
Yep. We now live in Clown Fiesta. That is now reality. And now the Clown Fiesta gets a full month. Is this the point where we make out or some shit like that?
do we hug and kiss? I don't know. I don't know.
Is that what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to make out now in honoring LGBTQIA plus SLA SS211, whatever it is now.
I feel like you just made it better.
I also feel like I feel ashamed, Matt, because I feel like a bigot. I feel like I should apologize.
Oh, you are.
I should apologize.
Oh, you should definitely apologize.
Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maximum culpa to all those who've been offended by my words. Don't kill yourself, because I know that what I've said is hateful and it could spur you on to do something terrible. What the fuck am I talking about, bro? I feel like
you can be whoever the fuck you You can be whoever you want. I don't care.
Exactly.
Just don't push it on me.
Don't force me.
That's it.
Don't force me.
I think our line is so clear.
Yes.
We want to live the way we want to live our lives. You're allowed to live the way you want to live your lives. And
let me ask you this. Is it okay for us to make fun of it?
Of course.
Is it okay for them, the other people, whatever, to make fun of us?
Of course.
Oh, okay. So it's all fair in love and war then.
That's what we believe.
Oh.
Not everyone believes that. Oh. Some people believe that you can make fun of only what you want to make fun of, but no one can make fun of you.
Oh. And now, accordingly, there are now laws all over the world that are emerging that if I say something negative about you, then I could be jailed. Did you actually recently see the New York mayor, Eric, whatever his name is?
Eric Adams?
Did you see his new law he passed?
No. Oh, about fat?
Fat people are now protected minority.
Did you? I watched the press conference, right, of that. I watched like a few clips of it, and they asked him a question about being overweight and health, and he says, I think the literal thing he says was that your body type has nothing to do with your health. He said science proves that your body type has nothing to do with your health.
What the fuck?
This is what he said.
What?
That your body type, your
weight,
being overweight has no effect on your health. And he says science proves it. We'll watch that together. We'll see if you can find that.
I just can't believe, I just can't believe this. I can't believe that you're saying this to me. Like, it has been absolutely proven that if you're obese, it has major health effects, like not good, bad health effects.
Let's see.
Obese people are now officially a protected group in New York City after Mayor Eric Adams signed a controversial discrimination law. The new bill signed last Friday makes it illegal for employers and landlords to discriminate against anyone based on their weight or height when it comes to hiring them or securing housing.
But were people getting denied housing for being overweight? I feel like that was never a thing.
Most of these types of shits that are happening are solutions in search of a problem. Solutions in search of a problem. The next law that Mr. Adams will pass is say that these hard edges on tables are discriminatory because you could potentially poke yourself. So we have to round them. And if you don't round them, Matt, we're going to fine your business $1,200 a month. This is the shit that's going to happen, bro. Like, I can't believe this. So fat people are now a protected species. No, I didn't say that right. A protected people group. So let me get this straight. So what we're doing essentially is ensuring that those who have maybe, not everyone, but people who have made poor health decisions, that we will encourage them to continue that.
Okay.
Is what we're saying.
Can we take that a step back? Did people make poor health decisions, or were those poor health decisions taught to us to live that way? Remember the food pyramid, which we all talk about.
Yeah, which ends up being bullshit.
Yeah, they said eat carbs.
Lots of carbs at the
That
bottom.
was the bottom. The biggest part of the pyramid was eat all the carbs and eat just a little bit of fruit
Yeah,
and vegetables.
and the sugar at top.
Correct.
Yep.
I mean, if this is what people were born and taught in school, how can you fault them
I actually,
for consuming so many damn carbs?
I think it's probably something that was created by a cis white man. The food pyramid is racist, actually.
Well, it is racist.
It's clearly racist. So if you're fat, it's not, and you're morbidly obese, it's not your fault. It's actually the white man's fault who created the food pyramid. And it's also the white man's fault that you were born into an economy and maybe into a town or maybe into a situation or a culture in which you only have access to shitty foods. That also, too, is the white man's fault.
I would argue that Krispy Kreme is delicious, and for you to call that shitty food, I find that very offensive.
Well, I think you're a bigot. I think you're racist. I think you're racist, Matt, because Krispy Kreme is clearly a white man's donut.
It's delicious. Whenever I see that hot side on, just one donut.
Where's the bwamp, bwamp, bwamp sound? I'm ashamed of you, Matt.
I love it. Love it. Love it. So I had an interesting last couple of days. I spent 2 days having very lengthy, long conversation with Chinese businessmen. And for people watching, I want to preface this by saying, so we're clear, I'm not Chinese.
Oh, what?
I think we need to be clear because people are going to hear this or watch it be like, oh, it's Chinese talking about Chinese. I'm not Chinese. I don't speak Chinese. I do, and I have done business with China for the last, 15 years of my life. So I'm very familiar with how the businessmen work. And when I say I spoke to businessmen, I'm not talking about people who own like a little shop in China. These are guys that do manufacturing, that sell to Europe and to Southeast Asia and to South America and United States and Canada, all over the world. I think almost every country, and Africa and Middle East. So these are guys that travel all over, have very good world perspective. And we spoke about a lot of the issues of the day. I thought it was very interesting to hear and see their perspective on how they view the same issues we see.
So how did you get in? Like, you're obviously have a functional reason for talking with these Chinese businessmen, but is it just because you have a good relationship with them? You're able to kind of traverse into these conversations? How did you bring this stuff up?
I'm going to say the first hour was about just business in general.
For sure.
But once we got through kind of the necessary talking points of business, they want to talk about the world. Because they want to hear my perspective. They want to hear the American perspective.
What questions did they ask you?
Everything. We talked about Russia. We talked about global economy. We talked about currency. We talked about manufacturing moving throughout the world. We talked about the shift in world power. We talked about the trans movement within the United States. We talked about crime and lack of crime in China versus the immense amount of crime in the United States. We touched almost everything.
Well, I want to touch on each of those topics. The first one that you brought up was Russia. So how did that come up? I'm curious.
So they think that it is absolutely ridiculous that the U.S. is fighting in a war with Russia. It doesn't make any logical sense to them.
Tell me why.
Because when the U.S. fights with Russia, number one, the problem is that Russia is aligning more closely with China. They are going off the U.S. dollar. They are fighting a war that neither side can really win.
So why would that be bad for a Chinese businessman who's in China?
They don't think it's bad. They think it's stupid.
Stupid for China or stupid for America?
Stupid for America.
And if it's stupid for America, how does it affect the Chinese businessman?
So in world trade, world business, it was widely recognized, even from the Chinese government, even from Chinese businessmen, when they go into a new country like Africa or South America or the Middle East, USA is number one, China is number two. This is the hierarchy of the world powers as how it's been for the last 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 years.
Fair enough. America's usually the ones that are trying to get their banks and their Fed banks installed, and China is usually the one coming in with infrastructure.
And that's how they operated business forever. That's what they're used to. That's normal to them. And everyone accepted that to be true. Now China goes into all these developing countries and they say, we are number one. USA is number two. Businessmen don't like disruption.
Yep.
People don't like chaos. People like it when you remain the status quo. It's easier to predict. It's easier to plan for. It's easier to know what that is.
That's right.
Now that there's a shuffle globally, they have to shuffle as well. They have to move things around. So that's why they don't like it. Chinese businessmen don't like disruption.
So it's almost so you could almost replace America with any other country, regardless. For them, it's the bottom dollar. It's essentially how it's affecting their supply chain, their demand, right? Their supplies, right?
Most Chinese businessmen are extremely non-political, contrary to public belief. People think, especially in America, oh, the guy's a Chinese businessman, he's in manufacturing, he works for the CCP. Yes, they have to work with the CCP because that's how the government is over there. They don't give a fuck about the politics domestically or internationally as far as how they live their lives. It's more of, okay, I want to be informed just like we want to be informed. They care about making money, protecting their personal interest. They are every much a capitalist as we are here.
I find that encouraging to hear from you, Matt, because I have found that most entrepreneurs and operators and businessmen, like serious businessmen, act pretty much the same.
Yes.
I would say everything that you just said, I resonate with.
Correct.
Because for me, people have asked this, and I've said this before on YouTube and stuff. I didn't give a fuck if it was Clinton or if it was Bush or Obama, Trump. Like, their politics, at the end of the day, for me, I could give less of a fuck because I'm just trying to earn a buck. And so I earn money. And another way to put this in positive light is I earn money through all of these different administrations, gave two fucks about it. At the end of the day, was I doing international shipping and logistics and supply chain and manufacturing like you? No. Was I dealing more like with digital assets? Yes. Are digital assets less effective, less affected by geopolitics? For sure. And so I think I was, in a lot of ways, I've been outside of the economic considerations and outside the economic ramifications of policy decisions. But at the same time, as a businessman, for me, making money is far superior than the policies behind it.
Correct. And they had serious concern about all these countries, about China and Russia and Brazil and South Africa and India, creating this organization amongst themselves and going off the U.S. dollar because they do a lot of business in the United States. They're worried about their U.S. dollars more so than they are about their Chinese yuan now.
I think that's concerning to them, and I understand why. Because the status quo and the usual assumption is that we will transact in dollars.
Yes.
But to have new entrants into this world of, whoa, maybe we should transact with the ruble or the yuan or whatever, that affects the bottom dollar in a big way, right?
And it affects their safety.
Of course. You don't want to move away from something that's working.
They before they could leave some money in the United States, they can open a couple of businesses, protect their assets because they know in China at the flip of a switch, push of a button, they can lose everything.
Yep. They can be disappeared.
They really like the idea that they can trust the U.S. to be strong, that the dollar is strong, and if worst case scenario, something happens at home, they can restart their lives here. This was like the ultimate backup plan for them. If things don't work out for my kids or they don't like the way society is going, they can always send them to America to live free, have opportunity. So they really liked the way that the U.S. was run. They liked it the way it was because it gave them an out from what they live in.
I'm curious. Do you have any sense of how Chinese businessmen generically view Russia? Like, what are the thoughts? Is it positive, negative?
So the Chinese-Russia relationship is strong. Russia, according to them, has recently announced that they're going to allocate the east part of Russia to Chinese manufacturing.
Yeah, I think I heard that, and they're upping their oil transactions and all that
and
stuff.
they're trading in Chinese yuan.
Yeah.
So for China, the new relationship with Russia and this growing relationship with Russia is actually a huge positive. It brings down their cost. It gives them more cheap areas for more labor, for more opportunity to grow new industries. So for the Chinese, they don't see the downside, right? They don't care how Russians live in Russia. They don't care about the war. They see the benefit at their border, and their border is good.
Well, the more exports China has, that can offset the kind of cutting off of retail that's been happening in the energy sector for sure, and banking and monetary policy is a huge thing because retail is floundering right now from an export perspective, and that does affect the overall politics and the overall kind of apparatus of what's going on in China for business. So yes, there's a lot. I mean, have you been? I've been hearing tons of stories, Matt, of small, medium-sized business closing in droves in China.
So what
Not
they
only
s-
due to the lockdown policies, but everything else included as well.
so in China, they are going through a industrial revolution.
Or is it recession?
Revolution.
Talk to me then.
So in China, they were known for where you buy and you manufacture cheap products.
Of course.
You make your shoes there, you make your clothes there, you make your plastic knickknacks there. All this stuff was made in China.
And all the unsophisticated technology stuff.
All the exactly.
Yeah, like your battery watches and shit.
All those factories are now being moved to Southeast Asia. So you're talking about all the going to Vietnam, to Cambodia, to the Philippines.
Yep.
They're moving all of the basic labor-intensive manufacturing overseas. They are focusing on higher tech and bigger ticket items now.
Oh, trying to be like Taiwan then.
Bigger because they have the people. So you're talking automobiles. They are the number one manufacturer of automobiles in the world now. China is bigger than US, bigger than Japan, bigger than Korea, which was their thing. Korea used to be the number one manufacturer of boats in the world. Now it's China.
I heard that years ago. That was one of those unique facts that Korea is one of the biggest manufacturers of big shipping liner shit.
Well, now it's China. They are focusing on phones. They used to make all your cell phones in Japan and Korea. Now you make them all in China.
Really interesting.
All the iPhones are made in China.
Well, that's true.
So they are focusing on different industries now. So is there a recession? Yes, but it's because it's transitory. They're shifting from making cheap shit to now making expensive, nice shit.
That's probably why they also need to kill about probably about 100 million, 200 million people. Make that happen. And they're doing that successfully, from what I understand.
Well, so because they're doing that transition, although there is a difficulty for people to find new jobs, it's a new opportunity to get into more lucrative and more advanced fields.
Interesting.
Right? So they don't see it as a bad. They see it as necessary thing we have to go through in order to adapt to be a bigger leader in bigger things.
Do the Chinese businessmen feel bad for America and American geopolitics and this whole America versus Russia thing? Because we started, the context was they don't think it's a good thing because it affects the bottom line of their safety, of their ability to predict and forecast revenues, these types of things, all business-centric focus. But do they feel bad about America? Do they feel like America's heading down the wrong path with this whole war and this drain of resources that's going into Ukraine?
They don't understand why the U.S. is so focused on this war.
I think the retort and the response to that would clearly be because it's not America's problem. It's a military-industrial complex consideration, and it's the only thing that the military care about is more money, more guns, more bullets, more profits.
When Putin went into Ukraine, and they could have easily said, day one, fine, you can come this far, you can have what you want, we're done. And it would have been over.
Are you sure that's the way it happened? Or have we been encroaching, the United Nations been encroaching on Russia's borders for decades?
Both. Yeah. Well, UN encroached, Putin and Russia pushed back, want to move that border further away from where they're at. You can easily made a deal, settle, okay, here's a demilitarization zone. No one will go in this path. You can have this area as your own, and we're done. And this war would have been done a year ago.
Fair enough.
Right? It makes no sense to the Chinese side why the U.S. is spending so much time, money, resources, and in the process losing U.S. dollar supremacy. Like, why is that worth it? The most important thing U.S. has over the world is that everyone trades in dollars.
Yeah, it's a dollar hegemony.
And without the U.S. dollar being the most traded currency, there's no reward in doing this war. Why would you give up your number one advantage in the world for this? And to them, it doesn't make financial sense. It doesn't make business sense.
And you know this as well as I do, is so many Chinese men are trying to get their dollar or their yuan converted to dollars because it's a safer haven.
Was.
But you understand my point, is that they're, I mean, if you think about it, a Chinese businessman that's, let's just say, mediocre businessman, he's worth $50 million. He's not going to be thinking about, let me see if I can change this to the Indian currency, and let me try to change this to the Australian. They want to change it to U.S. dollars. Correct. Because that's the U.S. dollars gives them access to all the other markets in the world that trade in U.S. dollars. So it does hurt the business. It does hurt Chinese businessmen to have their dollar depreciated and the value depreciated from the work that they're doing.
So they don't understand. It just doesn't make any sense to them. They can't figure out any reason other than personal gain or the use of military funds. Outside of that very generic reason, they don't see why this is a win for anybody.
And that's one of the biggest problems with America and America's military and America's citizenry, the public, is that since we do not have a forced military term like Korea does. It's 2.5 years, right? In Korea, you have to, if you're a man of adult age, you have to go to the military for 2.5 years. Mandatory service. Since we don't have that, since the American citizenry and the American public is so divorced from our military-industrial complex, most Americans don't realize how much carnage is being done and how much pretty much illegal things that are being done by the military in these different countries, and it's just draining the resources of everybody else here. It's crazy how much money is being sent over there. Like we can't support schools, we can't support roads, we gotta up the debt ceiling, which is a big talking point these days. But yet we're sending billions and billions of dollars to another country. I mean, I think you got, a Glock 26 there. I got a Glock 43 here.
Damn, why does it seem like I got the little gun?
Well, I mean, you do have a little gun. It's thicker. That's what she said. But but the 43 is more compact. But here's the thing: like we're sending all these guns over there, and we're not allowed to have guns here. We're not fixing the roads. We're not fixing the schools. We're not fixing education. But we're sending all this money over there. I mean, the insanity, bro. How's this all happening?
And they ask for more money.
Of course they do, because Zelensky will come to the Hollywood, whatever it's called, the award show. I don't even remember what it's called, and he'll hang out with them and chat it up with all the other actors. It's crazy that he's literally an actor.
And is there war and fighting going on in Ukraine? Yes. Are people dying? Yes. But it could have been avoided if we just made a simple deal.
I don't know about you, Matt. Let me ask you this: have you met anybody in your life who wants to go to war?
No, of course not.
Okay, so same with me. And Will, have you met anyone in your life, Will, that's ever that you've talked with them and they're like, "Will, I want America in war all the time."
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So if we extrapolate these 3 data points and we extrapolate it out to, let's just say, 99% of America, I would say that 99.99% of Americans do not want to go to war. Why the fuck are we in war, Matt? Why the fuck are we in war?
Money.
I know
Money.
that's the answer, but
Money.
it's so, like, when are we as this American public, American citizenry, going to say, stop fucking sending bombs and bullets and shit and stop shooting them?
In the name of freedom.
In the name of freedom. I don't see how us sending billions of dollars to Ukraine is making my freedom better here, Matt. Now, some people might get pissed off since it's Memorial Day week. Should we honor the troops?
Of course.
Absolutely. Should we honor those who've given their life with an American flag wrapped around them? Absolutely. Do we need to be sending our young men and women off to other countries to die? Probably not. I think humanity is mature to a level where we probably don't need to do that as much as we are doing today.
Correct. I mean, technology has evolved.
Okay, so we talked about Russia, Ukraine. What else did you guys talk about in your 6 hours of conversation with these Chinese businessmen?
Taiwan.
Ooh, that's a hot topic. Can I just interject? A lot of political pundits are saying that we are going to go to war. Of course, this is just them being military hawks. That we're going to go to war with China because of Taiwan.
And they think that concept and idea is laughable. China is so close to, Taiwan is so close to the Chinese border. If they wanted to bleed out Taiwan, they would take a handful of ships, surround the island, and it would be over in a week.
Less.
Right?
Be over in 24 hours.
They don't produce their own energy. They have to import all of their energy via boat. Block the boats, that's it. So they don't feel as though China has any intent on doing it in a military way. There'll be no fighting.
It could be an economic war.
They gave the example of Hong Kong.
Well, Hong Kong, that was...
Well, they took over Hong Kong.
Not many people realize how easy that was.
Hong Kong was given back to the Chinese. The people in Hong Kong revolted. There was protests on the streets, right? How long did those protests last? A month?
I think it lasted a couple months, but the media blackout was so effective that hardly anybody heard about it.
Now you go to Hong Kong, nobody fucking cares.
Yep.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's been over.
They've assimilated.
Yes. It's done. They didn't... How many people did they kill? How many guns did they fire? Hardly any. Maybe one.
Yeah.
No one died.
I think there was a couple hundred that were jailed for political activism.
That's it. That's how easy it was for them to squell the revolt and the rebellion and the protest in Hong Kong, and no one had to die.
Yeah, it was almost too easy.
Yeah. What makes you think Taiwan won't be as easy?
So can we have some perspective here, Will? I know how big Korea is. Korea is half the size of Florida and 80% of it's mountainous, but I do not remember how big Taiwan is. Could you give us some perspective on how big this country is? Because I think that matters, right? If it was like the size of Texas, then that's pretty fucking big. But I think Taiwan is about the same size, about half the size of Florida as well. So I would want to get some perspective on how big this is.
So the idea for them was that if they wanted to take over Taiwan, it'd be twofold. You surround the island, no resources. Number two, Taiwan, everything they consume comes from China. If we said we won't export to you, Taiwan's gonna come back. Hey, we're sorry, we need your supplies. That'd be over. They would come back willingly.
No,
There's no reason for military engagement.
Okay. 200. Taiwan is 270.
What states are similar in size? Let's go with that one.
It's the size of Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Tiny. Okay.
Or what states are similar in size to Taiwan? Let's just get one state. Maryland, Delaware combined.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Super small.
Yeah, handful of votes.
They only 23 million people in Taiwan. Korea's 160 million people.
I think it's 40 million.
That might be so.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think 80% of people live in Seoul.
Yeah. So super small country, not a whole lot of land mass, only 23 million people. I mean, it's an island, but it's an island. So literally you could do the most medieval thing in all of war, which is cut off supply lines. How long are you going to starve?
That's it.
Right. How long are you going to starve your people?
And what was the U.S. going to do?
Before
bomb? Who are they going to bomb? Where are they bombing?
Well, we gotta bomb somebody.
But who? Where?
I mean, we'll bomb the sand, I guess.
There's no logical way that U.S. could win a war at China's actual border.
So here's a thought that just rose up in my gut. I mean, do you think that Taiwan truly is just a political pawn because of their size, because of the, they do a lot of semiconductor stuff, and the more sophisticated technology comes out of chip technology comes out of Taiwan. We all know this. But I mean, I've heard things like the president of Taiwan, she's asking U.S. for more military aid and more military vehicles, more military infrastructure, so that they can effectively fight off like a land invasion type shit. I mean, that's just more government and military contracting and making money on the backs of Taiwan, right?
That's exactly
because
what it is.
You're telling me here that you could chock full Taiwan with military industrial grade American, guns and ammunition and bombs and shit, but it wouldn't fucking matter if they're starving.
No. 1 week to surround the country and cut off their energy supply because they only import about 1 week's worth of energy supply at a time. and then 1 week for people to go hungry and be like, this is bullshit, bring us back China.
That right there is the layman's term for capitulation. This is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
This is not our war. Life was okay. We buy everything from China anyway.
Life was okay.
Maybe they'll let us keep our way of life.
So
And why are we talking to the U.S. who's not even here?
Yeah, and they're
Makes no sense.
3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
You know, that's a really fresh perspective, and I hope people are listening in on this podcast. Smash the like button, join the Discord, and subscribe, everybody. But I'm really liking this because I knew a lot of this anyway, but it's nice to hear it again from your Chinese businessmen. They think it's a joke that this big military country, America, 3,000 miles away, is going to do jack shit over something the size of Massachusetts.
Because Chinese understand their own history very well. There is no historical precedence for China going at war with other countries. They don't attack other countries. They don't take over countries by force. They have skirmishes at their border, Nepal or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They don't
You're not
go
wrong.
out of their way to fight people.
They don't.
No, they just bring influence, they bring their culture, they bring society, and let people come to them.
Yes, and like North Korea is a good example. They used North Korea during the wars, or they supplied them, supported them, but China was very passive when it came to like, let's engage our people in this shit. We'll just use other people.
The only reason China got involved in the Korean War is because U.S. General McCarthy decided once he got all the way to the North Korea-Chinese border,
That's right.
he decided, hey, I think I can take down China by myself. And he went into China.
Yeah,
That's when they pushed back out.
that's right. That's
But
right.
outside of that, they stayed out of the way.
That's where China was like, fuck around and find out, bro.
Yeah. They have no historical evidence or precedence to go out and attack and start wars with countries. It's not what they do.
That's interesting.
And you can look, maybe I'm wrong. I don't believe there is.
I don't believe there is either, and I think that nugget of truth right there is really important because there is no historical support, reason, or rationale that China would ever try to invade America or do some bullshit like that.
Because people say, oh, the Chinese are training troops in Canada. The Chinese are training troops in Mexico.
Oh, man.
I don't believe at all they have any intention of taking over the United States. They don't need to. If anything, they can just block it out. Do deals with the rest of the world.
Yeah. But they are kind of taking over America through economic buying power is how they're going to take over America.
Correct.
They're just going to buy up all our land like Bill Gates.
They have no interest in having colonies over the world. Because for the Chinese are Chinese. If you're a colony of China, you're not Chinese. They don't want to deal with that shit. They'd rather you self-govern. They have no history of doing that.
So, bottom line, Chinese businessmen think it's a joke that we like to get our political panties in a wad around Taiwan. They don't see any reason for any type of bloodshed, and frankly, taking over Taiwan would be a fucking cakewalk.
And again, this is their perspective based on their experience throughout the world. And with a grain of salt, they are also fed Chinese propaganda to believe what they believe.
Fair enough.
So we need to keep that clear that just because I'm relaying what my conversations with them were, doesn't mean that their side is necessarily correct.
You know, it's because governing a country is so multifaceted and so complex. Like you could truly have multiple vantage points into any type of issue and have one bulldoze the other. Why am I saying this? Like we could actually, not to say that your Chinese businessmen aren't probably correct, but we could have a military advisor or someone who's super influential who could light the fire to start a war with China and Taiwan if they fucking wanted to. Fuck the industrial ramifications of you're not gonna get your iPhone for the next 9 years because we just went to war with Taiwan or some shit like that. You're not gonna get the newest upgrade to your Nvidia card or some shit like that. But I can see a reality where some very interested party fucks everything up. But it's just hard to, at the same time, it's hard to conceive of that because there's so many tentacles into Taiwan that, man, you just don't want to fuck up business. You don't want to fuck up people's lives. There's no need for any type of major conflict, especially in fucking South China Sea, man. It's not the right place to do it.
So the Biden administration signed something called the CHIPS Act, right? Which is a way to bring chip manufacturing and invest to produce chips domestically within the United States
Really?
and stop using international chips.
That sounds like a very progressive and positive policy, Matt.
In retaliation, the Chinese, I think within the last 2 days, they banned Micron from selling chips to China.
Oh. Economic warfare, baby.
The Chinese, my conversation with them is that their biggest struggle with chips is that they have the technology to do it. They don't have machines to make them.
I've heard that.
That's
I've
what
heard
they
that
said.
they don't have the infrastructure to actually do it, but they have the knowledge and know-how.
They think they're around 3 to 5 years out from being able to produce their own storage chips. In which case, once they have the ability to produce their own storage chips, their reliance on U.S. chips like Micron, Intel, these guys who produce a huge variety of the chips in the world, and the high-tech storage chips, they're not going to need them anymore.
Quality has always been a consideration when it comes out of China, though.
And they know that. But if you have, the chips are so good these days that if their chip is 90% of the best chip, it's good enough.
It's good enough.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
They don't need the best chip. They just need a really good chip. And they're willing to deal with that because they're focused really heavily into AI, just like we are here. It's a war for AI.
So here's a random question. I don't know if you have a pulse on this from your time with Chinese businessmen, but Americans are fed that Chinese-made stuff is shite and it's less quality, even though most of the shit people are wearing is made in fucking China or Asia somewhere. I wonder if Chinese businessmen, or let's just say Chinese people on the regular, I wonder if they truly have as many faulty equipment or faulty technology or shit that just goes bad because of bad quality, or is that truly just propaganda in our ears?
So they know that the shit they make it sucks.
I've had Chinese businessmen admit that to me too.
Yes. But things that are important, they buy from the US.
I could
Right?
makes
Things
sense.
that are high technology, high experience, that require high levels of engineering. This is the manufacturing that US does. So when they say there's no manufacturing in the US, all of it's in China. No, China and Southeast Asia is doing the shit nobody here wants to do.
Exactly.
The things that matter, things that you need special attention to, that you need high levels of competence to achieve, that manufacturing is done here in the United States. And they want that product, right? That's the only thing that US has that China really wants is those specialty kind of special machinery. US builds better machines.
So final hot take on this subject. Chinese businessmen, in terms of America, China, Taiwan going into war,
They don't see it as a situation.
they don't see it as it's going to happen.
No. They have no reason to believe that it would, considering there's nothing in history that says it would.
Fair enough. You guys talked a little bit about politics. I'm curious, did you guys get into their thoughts around Biden?
So I think it's pretty clear for the world that the policies that our Biden are putting in are extremely progressive liberal. I told them, I said, hey, did you know that 25% of Gen Z in America, 15 to 25 years old approximately, identifies as LGBTQ plus SILRA? And
You fucked it up. You're a bigot.
and they couldn't wrap their head around that. It didn't make any sense. Like,
Really?
what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, 25%. What 25% what? And it took me a while to explain that to them because the concept was so crazy in their mind that even though I was explaining it in 100 different ways, they couldn't process it because the idea that many people, that 25% would identify as, there's no reference for them to even gauge that as reality. No like movies or anything to consume to say, okay, this makes sense. Like it's so foreign to them.
It was like an alien idea.
It was so crazy. Like, Matt, you're making shit up. This possibly cannot be even true.
So, did you watch the Matt Walsh's movie What Is Woman?
Yes.
Do you remember when he went over to Africa and like very similar? They were just like, nothing you're asking me makes sense.
Yeah.
Can a man become a woman? They're like, what? What does that mean? Like, because they don't have any grounding for that.
Yeah.
Because in their world, men don't become women.
Yeah.
But in America, the land of the free and the super brave, we have some of the most bravest and courageous people of all history, Matt, that are changing their pronouns.
It's crazy.
And they're winning awards.
I mean, I tried to explain it to one person, and he was trying to explain it to this other lady, and they were going back and forth in Chinese, like asking each other all these questions. And
I
they
can
were
totally see it.
And they were looking at me, and they're like talking. They're looking at me, and they're like,
What the fuck is he talking about?
it made no sense.
Shit. So
It's so foreign because it doesn't make, as a civilization, it doesn't make sense.
now, now we've seen some American propaganda talking about how China is limiting video game playing, limiting all the beta male shit, encouraging and promoting deep masculinity type stuff. So, do you think that has something to do with it, or is it just part of their culture that they just haven't been westernized to the point where this type of liberalism has taken a foothold?
It is, if you look at the Asian countries that have high American influence,
Korea's getting fucked by American
Korea,
right
they
now.
are starting to drink that Kool-Aid.
Korea, it's so wah on Korea, man.
The countries where America doesn't have a strong influence, this is absolutely foreign to them. This is the American ideology that's being spread throughout the world. In the 50s and the 60s, the U.S. used to go out and they used to bring Christianity into countries to promote Americanism. That was their way in. Here's some churches, here's our values, and people assimilated to those ideas. This is what America means, to have these Christian type of values. They've replaced that with trans rights.
Yeah.
And was it
Social.
DEI, right?
DEI, yeah.
Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yes.
These are the new American ideas that are pushed throughout the world.
It's interesting that you use that as a juxtaposition because you're not wrong. The older generations, global older generations, generally would consider, and probably still consider in most cases, their mental models of Americans and American imperialism, which is what it really is, as being Christian missionaries bringing over American values, American culture, and it's mostly through the kind of the lens of Christian religion. But now, since religion is no longer, and all studies have shown that religiosity in people is lowering, people's church attendance is lowering. There's a huge growth and surge in atheism and Satanism, which is interesting. I saw a poll like more people are becoming Satanists these days than anything else. Why the fuck would you do that? Seems like a terrible idea, but what do I know? Maybe there's power in Satan. Have you ever tapped in? No, I wouldn't fucking know. But anyway, so since religion is no longer working, is social policies and this trans stuff, that's the next way to get in?
That's exactly what they're using their way in. This is a new Americanism. This is what it means to be American.
It almost is. It's almost like saying being American is being fucking mentally unstable.
And it's these big, large tech companies that are bringing it with them.
Oh, yeah.
Netflix is pushing this throughout Korea. You can't watch a Korean Netflix show without there being some sort of storyline about a trans, gay, right, something.
And this wasn't the way 15 years ago.
Korea used to be so conservative.
Oh, man.
You couldn't show two people kissing.
No.
Like, you couldn't show them physically touching lips. That's
I know.
how it used to be.
You and I grew up on Hyori.
Yeah.
You and I grew up on B. You and I grew up on like these are like singers and actors and stuff. I remember, I think it was late 90s when Hyori like showed midriff. Like when she was dancing and you could see some of the belly button. I mean, it was like, oh shit, yo, that's sexy, sexy time, a Korean people. But yeah, back in the day, you would never. I mean, even getting a little bopo, you just like on the lips was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
But now
it's crazy.
So let me just get your honest opinion, because you and your wife watch Korean drama. You guys watch Korean news and stuff like that. Does that make you sad?
It does.
Why?
And I don't think it reflects Korea as a whole.
Oh, certainly doesn't. Absolutely not.
But that's, again, this is the part of the propaganda of the media. This is what they would make you believe how it is. If you go to Korea, come to Korea. We are diverse, equitable, and inclusive. That's why you should come here. But the reality is, it's just not.
How about just because the
Koreans
food
are fucking racist, by the way.
How about you just come to Korea, because Korea literally has the best fucking food on the planet.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop.
It's the Americanism that's transporting, and that's why all these other more developing countries that these ideas are so foreign to, Like, oh, we'll work with China. We don't have to deal with this shit. We don't have to allow these weird rights in order to get our funding or have them to invest in us.
Yeah.
But if we want to get American investment, we have to start allowing this stuff. We don't want to do it.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
You
Same amount of money, I'll just go with China.
I think, Matt, that you believe that the most capable and skillful individual is probably the best person for the job.
Exactly.
But to be forced to purchase or hire someone because they have a different skin color or they profess to be a different gender is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's actually the fastest way for you to ruin your business, Matt. If you hire a director of diversity, I promise you your company won't be around for the next fucking 3 years, bro.
Or will be huge because that's what people promote.
Well, yeah, but you'll have these signs.
I'll flag up.
You'll have signs up that will say BlackRock, Vanguard, George Soros, and then
BlackRock. If you want to invest in me, hit me up.
Which, frankly, I wouldn't hate the man for doing it.
And that's the shitty part, right? Like we say all these things, and then if BlackRock were to come, like I'll give you $1 billion for your company. Like, yeah, I'll bend over.
You know what? Just
like we all have a price, and I guess I'll sell out. It's fucking hard place to be.
I appreciate your honesty because I do the same thing. If BlackRock came to me and said, Peter, you just have to make a video once a month that says that you love, these types of people and that you'll, get on your knees and do whatever you like for that type of money, bro.
If you are Target, and you do this crazy woke trends, whatever, right? And your stock is dropping 25%, but BlackRock comes and says, you guys are doing the right thing. We'll back you. George Soros comes and says, hey, it's bad now, but give it 6 months. We'll put you through the media cycle and we'll get you back. How do you not take that deal?
That's a rough deal.
Right? Yes, people are going to hate you, but they forget.
They do forget.
Yeah. But we don't forget. And if you side with us now, even though it costs you money immediately, just double down. Buy a little more stock. We'll push it back later.
Okay, so let me give you a concession. I feel like Bud Light is that's gonna happen. I feel like let's push out 18 months.
No one's gonna care.
No one's gonna give a fuck. And people are gonna go back to drinking Bud Light, and the stock's gonna go back up. And the smart ones are the ones who bought at the bottom when Bud Light was at the bottom. Because in 18 months, people are going to fucking forget and they're going to buy more Bud Light and it's going to go back up in value.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to buy Target stock today at a 25% discount, knowing damn well on their side, they have BlackRock, they have Vanguard, they have George Soros and his entire media conglomerate, knowing that they have the biggest players on their side, from a purely analytical perspective, it's a fucking great buy.
Even analytical and economic.
Yeah.
Like it's just a good deal.
Yeah, because they have the biggest players on their side.
Ooh, actually, let me bring up a conspiracy. Do you think
They take that on purpose?
They do it on purpose? Because if you know that the American public is going to boycott your company, and based on all the analytics of all these other companies that are going DEI and woke, they know that they're going to lose 35% of their value over the next 9 months, but people are going to forget and it's going to go back. Like that's a Nancy Pelosi stock tracker type of shit.
I don't even think it's money. I think it's the story. These guys went woke. People did not accept them at first, but look, 1 year later, people came back.
Oh, that's a meta level shit.
Yeah, they are accepting. They
finally came around.
They finally came around. You were just a little early.
And all you bigots who we said were bigots, you're still bigots because now we've been validated because people are still buying our shit.
Correct. We have proof in case, right? That's our fucking thing works. It's fucking crazy.
That's fucking big. There's some big brain shit coming out of that.
But imagine that's what it is. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Okay,
and they're going to validate exactly the word validate their decisions.
Can I throw you a different alternate reality? I think. And some conspiracy theorists would probably love this. I think this is the slow invasion of America. Why do I say this? Because now we have companies like Kohl's, like Target, like Disney, like Budweiser. All these American companies are being internally boycotted by Americans, and those companies, long tail, let's say it doesn't come to pass what you said, is all these companies lower in value, lower in everything, and we slowly eat our own companies so that we are actually destroying anything worth fighting for when the invasion does come, because Budweiser will be gone, Target will be gone, Disney will be just like a shitty Hulu, Kohl's will be gone, right? Ben and Jerry's will be gone, right? We'll have successfully destroyed because what do we have? We have all these monuments being changed, holidays being changed, names being changed. We are slowly destroying anything of value in America so that, and this is the conspiracy, so that the invasion of America will be so easy in the next 40, 50, 60, 100 years because we've internally eaten ourselves and destroyed ourselves and cannibalized ourselves. What do you think?
I don't think anyone wants to invade and take over America.
But the Communist Manifesto says the number one thing you do to take over another people group is you demoralize them from the inside first. And if you think about it, we are demoralizing all American brands right now.
The unique thing about the United States is that it's one of the few countries in the entire world that can self-sustain.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of food here.
All the food you need, all the energy you need, all the resources you need. If America never left its border, it could survive.
Yeah. Frankly, we should just probably create a wall and just chill out.
So if you
Be like
are
Israel.
China, you don't want to take U.S., which you can't take over because they can self-sustain forever.
Oh, yeah.
If you barricaded the entire country for 100 years, they would still be fine.
We'd be fine.
Instead, you lock them in, have them fight themselves, and just take all the countries around. There's so much more value in taking the rest of the world instead of this one plot of land.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they have an interest in taking over America because it's like you can't attack someone that has unlimited resources to self-sustain because they can last forever.
That's fair. That's fair.
The Chinese model is not to attack and take over. If anything, like the Taiwan explanation, they would rather just surround and bleed out. You can't bleed out the United States. They would rather just take over all the influence in the rest of the world and let America do America things by itself.
You're not wrong. Now, if that were to come to pass, the American standard of living would drop, but we wouldn't be eradicated.
Correct.
Right.
America.
We'd all have to learn how to farm a little bit.
America is sustained pretty much as long as the world exists.
Fair enough.
Because again, enough resources.
People
it's
don't.
The only country.
People
that's
don't
like
realize how much fucking food is grown here.
Yeah.
Like we have hundreds, millions of acres that are just fucking producing corn and wheat, which is pretty much all of our diet anyway. Is corn and wheat.
A little bit of fruit, a little bit of vegetable, a little bit of protein, a little bit of bug. Like you're fine.
A little bit of bug. Did this guy just say bugs? What the fuck? This is some DEI shit, man. This is some Klaus Schwab shit. You're gonna have us
a little
eat
bit
bugs?
of bug. You're fine.
Oh, man.
Plenty of protein.
All right. So what do they? So I didn't get to a conclusion. They just think America is crazy for this trans stuff, or it just doesn't compute. Is what it
just
sounds
doesn't compute at all.
like. It's like
The Chinese are concerned about making money. They're concerned about their economy. They're concerned about just growing. Not necessarily how do we change how the world lives. They're not going to Africa because they want Africans to become Chinese or believe what Chinese believe, right? It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
they're going there to build fucking roads, build infrastructure, so they and get them loaded up with debt so that they could own it.
So they can make more money.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to South America because they want South Africans to all of a sudden believe in Chinese ideology. It doesn't make any sense. They just want to make money. At the bottom line, they only care about making more money.
That's interesting.
And while the U.S. goes all these places trying to inflict our way of life and our way of thinking to change how people are in those areas, they're like, dude, believe what the fuck you want. We don't care. Let's just make a deal and make money. That's it. It's so much more basic.
Yeah.
And we are so much more like
Ideological. Yeah.
And that's the biggest divide, I think.
So I almost wonder if the ideology is because America has become, thanks to the boomers, become so privileged that we can literally sit here and these Gen Zers or whatever can sit there and find problems in their life that they're unhappy about, and they have the privilege and advantage and autonomy to do so because they're living in such, such a good time in America where they can drink their $7 lattes, writing their shit posts about America on their $4,000 Apple laptop. Whereas in China, the standard of living is lower. We both know this overall. And when your standard of living is lower, you don't have time to be fucking arguing about who said what on tweeters, right? And so is that why they don't give a fuck? It's more basic. It's more primal. It's just like, it's all about economics, bro. I don't care what you believe. Are we going to make money? That's all I give a fuck about.
I think their viewpoint is just more long term. Social issues change by the day, by the month, by the year, over time. The one thing that's always true is we always need to figure out ways to make more money.
Fair enough.
That's their focus. That's their goal. We make money, our future generations' money, their future generations' money. How do I make enough money so that we change the path of our entire family and lineage? These are their goals. Our goal is how do we make people believe what we believe?
America's goal is how do we make the world America?
Correct.
Which is
Never going to happen.
fucking never going to happen. Here's another thing. I wonder also, it makes me curious about America's culture, that America's culture is so strong that it's exportable. Chinese culture is not strong enough where it's exportable. Like you don't have people in like Cambodia, you don't have people in Australia being like, I love Chinese culture. Rarely said. Probably said a couple times, but you understand my point. Like there's a difference between someone who says, I love American culture and what that means underneath, which is freedom. I can make my own business. I need, raise my family in where I don't feel like I'm going to get shot or killed because of whatever. Like when people are proud of American culture, generally the stereotype is these powerful freedoms underneath. When I think about someone saying, I love and I'm proud of Chinese culture, it's hard for me to enunciate what those values are. It's like, there's no strength in Chinese culture versus American cultural exporting.
I don't think it's that there's no strength in it. I think that there's very little interest in them promoting it outside of China. The Chinese, if you take China and you write in Chinese, it literally means Middle Kingdom. That's the translation of China. They believe that they're the center of the world and everyone else revolves around them, which is why they have no interest in taking over countries. They think everyone should come to them. They're the center, right? That's literally built into their name.
Dropping knowledge.
So I don't think they're like, okay, how do we promote Chinese culture to the rest of the world? It's our culture is so good, our way of life is so much better that people will want to join us. We don't need to advertise to others to join. We just need to be better, and they will come to us.
It's almost a dig in America. They're almost saying, America, your culture is so weak, you have to export it.
Exactly. Some people, like Tesla, they don't advertise. Everyone goes to Tesla and says, we want to buy it anyway. Your cars are better. They're affordable, relatively speaking, to electric cars. And, you guys have a better technology. We want to buy your car. There's no need for them to say, hey, look, I'm going to spend $5 billion a year in advertising. They don't do it.
Exactly.
You have other cars that spend ridiculous amounts because they have substandard product. You have to get the word out.
That's actually something for those who have kids. This has been a point you just brought up in my gut that I've talked with my children about. I've told my children on multiple occasions, if there's a commercial for the product, that means the quality is shit or the nutrition is shit. You don't have companies that are selling amazing, spinach making commercials, because not only does that cut into their profits, but spinach is healthy. But you do have Doritos, who spends hundreds of millions of dollars a year on advertising Doritos, and you think about it, if they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars in Doritos, young blood, young daughter, if they're spending $100 million in advertising, what do you think the quality of that food has to be for them to make money? The answer is very low. So it's a good point.
Yeah,
good point.
I think that's what it is for them. There's no desire or need to promote it.
So trans didn't compute with them. Would you say that their bottom line is that Americans are just fucking crazy or stupid, or what do you think? Well, how do they deem this issue?
For a society that's supposed to be so advanced, that's supposed to tell the world that they're number one, they don't understand why there's so much crime here. In China, there's very little crime, almost non-existent.
Yeah, in a lot of Asian countries, there's very low crime.
You're talking about 1 billion plus people in a very small landmass. China's huge, but everyone lives in a very small, congested area. Everyone lives in big cities because here the big cities are crime ridden.
Oh, yeah.
There, the big cities are 10 times bigger than a big city here, but yet there's no crime. So you can't say, oh, there's more crime because there's a lot of people. It doesn't translate. The numbers don't prove that to be true.
Yep.
It's all ideology. It's all policy, right? That allows crime. One of the guys was in LA. He was doing some work in LA. Him and one of his partners were at a restaurant and they left their bag in the trunk.
That's a fast way to learn a lesson.
Someone broke into the trunk, opened it up, stole their bag. It has like their passport in it, all this stuff.
That sucks.
So they call the cops.
Yeah, fuck off with that shit. What are they gonna do?
Someone breaks into the car. Someone steals their important items. They call the cops. This is what they believe is supposed to happen. Common sense says that's what you're supposed to do. They wait for the cops, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. They finally arrive. Like, okay, someone stole my bag out of the trunk. Do you have video of them doing it? Like, no, we're in the restaurant. Okay, what do you want us to do? I want you to get my bag back.
Yeah, file police report, motherfucker.
We can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? I got my passport. I need it. Like,
yeah,
I can't help you.
Yeah, it's your word versus ours. You could have said that you just lost a fucking Rolex and we wouldn't give a fuck.
And they couldn't believe that was the police response. If it was China and someone broke into your car and stole your shit, all right, let's go find this guy. Right? What they steal, what's going on, like it used to be. Now it's, I can't help you. And they're like, what the fuck kind of response is that from police? We can't help you. What do you mean we can't help me? Like, you're the police. We got in trouble. We had an incident. We called you because that's what we're supposed to do. And you come back and you say, we can't help you. Like,
Exactly.
what kind of backward society do you call the police and they say they can't help you?
Yeah, well, America.
And that doesn't make any sense to them. Because, again, in China, there's no crime, very little violent crime, very little theft. These problems that we have in the major cities in America don't exist in the smallest of cities in China.
So, do you think that's because the surveillance net is so deep in China, and especially in the cities? Like you've seen, I mean, I visited there. I've seen some like really heavy four-way lights where it's super congested, and you look up and you see 40, 50 cameras like around you. They're all over the place, right? And so do you think the surveillance state and all the surveillance that they do has created these types of behavior patterns in which if you jaywalk, they will literally post your face on the billboard next to the sidewalk to say that this person's a bad person. You jaywalk, and they're going to take $50 out of your Snap, whatever, your WeChat account automatically. Do you think the government style of governing has created this passive peacefulness, or is it just because Americans are being fed absolute divisive content all the time, and literally everything under the sun is now racist, which gives you, especially if you're a liberal, a good excuse to hit somebody or hurt somebody?
I think it's a combination of both. So we talk about China and Chinese surveillance of their population. The U.S. surveillance of their population, probably equivalent.
It's pretty damn near close. You and I don't live in a city, so we're not constantly under surveillance.
Every cop car has scanners on it that scans literally everything around them 360 degrees. Everything's recorded. They know everything going on now. There are cameras everywhere. Every road, every street, every intersection, everything's being surveilled. I think the difference is in China, if they catch you doing something, they hold you accountable. Here, they just watch, monitor, and let it happen.
That's true.
There's the same amount of surveillance. Don't let anyone fool you.
True.
The amount of surveillance in China is equal to the amount of surveillance in the United States. China does not surveil more than the United States does.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. As someone in the deep IT and security, I don't push those credentials a lot, but I know more than most, and I'll tell you that there is no privacy in America. Everything that you type, everything that you do on that mobile device, which is the perfect solution. Like, why would you ever force anybody to have, this is the thing about like the mark of the beast, or the conspiracy theorists are like, they're all gonna fucking put chips in our bodies to track us. No, motherfucker. this was the best invention ever because you track yourself for them. You give them everything. The fact that you've subscribed to the government, surveillance net through having this iPhone, like greatest invention ever for surveillance.
We just made it so easy for them to do it.
I think what you said was so poignant though, man. Like in America, in China, you do something, you jaywalk, they're gonna put your fake fucking face on the screen, shame you.
And automatically, they're going to send you a ticket. You're going to pay.
You're going to pay $50 out of your WeChat account. And in America, we just love to watch the world burn.
We just let it go.
We just love watching.
No repercussion.
Did you see that girl? This is something that was on Twitter just today or yesterday. This girl, she took one of those huge fireworks bombs. The ones that you light it and you put the firework in the tube and then it shoots out and explodes. She was on a bus and she's just like, here's the firework thing of the tube. She got the bomb in there or whatever, and she just lights it up and just points it at the back of the fucking bus. Like, dude, this is the world we live in now, where people are literally for the clicks, for the memes,
correct,
for the show. She's lighting a explosive firework that one of the big ones on a fucking bus.
The difference is not surveillance. The difference is law and order. That's it. It's so simple. Some countries don't allow it, have very strict laws. If you break a law, that means you broke a law. It's pretty clear. You break the law, you broke the law. Here, it's you broke the law, but maybe you didn't. Maybe it depends on how you felt. Maybe depends on who you are. Maybe if you're one color or another color, and depending on who the color was that you had this with, so many factors go into place.
The way that you state it sounds fucking ridiculous, but it's
fucking
true.
ridiculous.
It's true.
And a lot of the country, a lot of the world, they're like, you broke the law, you stole. Here it's well, it was under $1,000.
Yeah, and he was a person of color.
Yeah.
And he was trans.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's the white man's fault who's standing next to him.
I mean, someone already robbed Target and blew it up, so it's okay if the next guy who walked in and took anything anyway, that's okay.
Did you hear about the two ladies in our city right here? I sent that to you.
I didn't look at it.
I put it on our Discord. Check out our Discord, guys. It was the two ladies at Lululemon, literally half a mile from this office. They got fired.
Really?
Did you hear about it?
Oh, for reporting and
so the bunch of black dudes.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Bunch of black dudes went into Lululemon. It's all over the videos.
Yeah.
They came in, they stole all this shit from Lululemon, which is a half a mile from us, and ran out. And the two women who were working there called police, and they got fired for calling the police. And you know why they got fired? Because it is far cheaper economically to do a loss on those clothes than to potentially have a lawsuit that these individuals could be hurt or could trip and fall on their way out of the door stealing shit, or the employees could punch them or hurt them. That lawsuit and the loss from that lawsuit is greater than just letting them run out the door with your product.
It's crazy.
So I literally turned to my wife, Matt, and I was like, I didn't know it was going to hit this close to home, but apparently Lululemon is having 100% off discount. It's 5 fingers, baby. What are you going to fucking do?
When I saw that, it said Atlanta. I thought it was the one in Buckhead by Lennox.
Nope, right here.
I did not know it was the one
right here.
That's crazy.
It's
because they said Atlanta.
It's the Forum.
Yeah,
it's right here.
That's
the Forum.
Crazy. That's crazy.
It's a Lululemon right there.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, man. We live in fucking Cloud Fiesta today.
All right. Final thought is COVID.
Oh,
I talked to them about COVID. We talked to them about masks.
Oh, I'm curious. Yeah.
Right now, we're told in the news and media right now that China is about to go through another COVID push, right? That there's a new virus, whatever. They're going to be worried that China maybe get locked down. All this news about China and COVID right now. Apparently, in China.
If I cut you off for a second, Bill Gates and others in league with him, like the World Health Organization, have already told us that there's going to be another pandemic in the next couple years. So, I mean.
In China, if you are seen in the street wearing a mask, people think you're a joke.
Really?
Yeah. You are socially shamed just like here.
Really? Well, we're not socially shaming people here.
We all judge under our breath.
That's fair.
It's the same.
That's fair.
It's like, oh, why is that guy wearing a mask?
Yeah.
That's how the most general population thinks,
Really?
which is contrary to what I thought.
It's contrary to the mainstream media narrative that says Chinese people are fully compliant and making sure that everyone's still masking up. I think I saw a report on that just a couple months ago.
They all understand that COVID wasn't as bad as it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
They understand that they were locked down unnecessarily.
But they also had the worst experience of lockdown. So they should be remembering how much suffering they had.
And to be out there and wear a mask shows that it's almost like a social cue. You're compliant with what happened in the back.
Oof.
It's almost like similar to if you're caught drinking a Bud Light right now. Social shame.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you're a guy, you're going to drink Bud Light?
Yeah.
What are you? You know?
Gay? What are you, gay?
If you are in China and you're wearing a mask, people are like, well,
Really?
maybe you're part of the system.
Wow,
That's
that's
how they feel too.
encouraging.
That's kind of interesting too.
That's
I did not see
interesting, but
that
it's
coming.
actually encouraging because the mainstream propaganda machine in America is telling us that China is completely complicit, completely compliant, completely, on board with this stuff. But we also know from other reports, if you're actually digging a little bit, that the Chinese general populace is fucking fed up of being locked down.
Yep.
Like they were locked down longer than anybody, right? Any other country, basically.
Yeah.
So they had it rough.
And their eyes and their experience and their network of people tells them everyone died. Everyone didn't die.
So let me ask you this, so we can end with this hypothesis. When the next one comes, because they've already told us that it's coming, what do you think China's going to do? What do you think the Chinese public is going to do? Do you think they're going to cave, or do you think they're going to fight?
Well, okay. It depends on what people.
Because people are fucking blowhards, man. People are fucking blowhards. How many people have you met and said, I'm going to do this deal and then fucking rug pull you or pull out of the deal? Like, this, your business. If you have people rug pull you and blowhards and waste fucking precious hours of your life going through bullshit meetings and saying they're going to do something and then at the end of the day, they'll fucking do it.
It depends on what they put into these jabs. China, they're required to take them.
You don't have a choice, yeah.
They're on their third, fourth.
Yeah, and if you didn't take it,
And they're using internal Chinese jabs now. No outside jabs. No Pfizer
no
allowed.
Pfizer, no Johnson
No
Johnson,
Johnson Johnson. You got to use theirs.
no Moderna.
If you don't trust ours, do you trust theirs?
That quality though, you might get a worm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to put ours in. Forget like putting theirs in. I'm like, oh, can you imagine?
Man, it's like taking
Like, what the hell's in there?
It's like taking acid. You just don't know.
You never know what, like who knows what these things do to people, what the repercussions would be. If you convince a population of 1 billion plus people to take 10 jabs, you can convince them to do anything. And this, they don't realize. This is their blind spot. They don't realize that all the stuff that they believe is part of their own propaganda. Oh, man. Right? And they see it. I mean, they see different worlds. These are well-traveled people. These are people that see the world from various perspectives. And yet, there's so much propaganda in each relative country to their own that they don't realize how much that's been indoctrinated in them. We all have blind spots.
Oh yeah.
They have theirs. We have ours. We think freedom is great. How many countries have we been to war with and we left more free?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. There have been countries I've visited where it's just like, man, like people actually leave me the fuck alone.
We say guns kill people, and then we look around and how many people are really dying of like legal gun owners killing people? It's not a lot. It's a very small segment.
I really like the statistics on white people killing other people. That's like one of the best. Guys, check out the statistics on white on black, white on Hispanic, and white on Asian crime. It's the highest statistic of all of them.
Opposite. If you take out
Because remember, Joe Biden and other people have told us and reminded us that the greatest risk, the greatest issue in America is white supremacy. What, Matt, you're not taking this seriously, Matt?
if you take out 16, 17, 18-year-old gang members, if you take out suicide, the amount of gun death in this country is minuscule.
It is minuscule.
Compared to the number of guns. I don't want to belittle any death because death is death, murder is murder. Not something we encourage. However, if you do a pure by the numbers and you do how many people are just out there murdering people with a gun, the numbers don't add up.
Yeah.
It doesn't support the narrative.
Yeah, it doesn't support the narrative at all. And there's some countries in South America and Africa that are fucking bloody dangerous. Like, seriously, people are getting killed all the time. Apartheid still is real. So we'll leave it there.
Awesome. Have a good day, buddy.
You too, brother.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week.
See you guys. Interesting. Convo. I liked it, man.